you an example here. Speaking of Michael Jordan, who I already mentioned, in the last carnation of the Chicago Bulls dynasty, which was from 1996 through 1998. The last 3 years they won the championships when Michael Jordan was the main guy. They had this guy on the team named Dennis Rodman. If you're a basketball fan, you know about Dennis Rodman. You might know about him even if you don't watch basketball. And Dennis was we can say he was a free-spirited, eccentric type of guy, but he was a very good basketball player, damn good player. He is, I believe, in the Basketball Hall of Fame to this day. And Dennis was a kind of guy who he wasn't the guy who kept a normal, disciplined, professional type of schedule that a Michael Jordan or a Scottie Pippen would have kept, but he still did his job when it was time to get on the court. And there was a time when Dennis, while playing with the Bulls, I believe it was his first year with the Chicago Bulls, he got suspended because he had kicked a cameraman on the sideline during a game, like intentionally kicked the cameraman. I remember when this happened back in the 90s. And Dennis got suspended for maybe 10 or 11 games. And according to the stories, the Chicago Bulls during those 10 or 11 games, Dennis Rodman was a big piece of their team. They needed what Dennis brought to the table because they had that was a hole in their roster before he got there, at least the year before. And Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, the two leaders of the team, according to reports, they decided that they were going to play as, they didn't say this out loud, but they played as hard as possible during the games that Dennis Rodman missed. They played as if it was for the championship because they wanted to win as many games as they could always. But with Dennis out, they wanted to make a point of winning games without him to prove to him that, hey, the shit you did on the other teams you've been on, where when you don't play, the team loses and the team gets worse when you're not around, that's not going to work over here. We're going to win with or without you. And according to, I think Tim Grover said this in his book, he told Dennis Rodman, look, we're going to win whether you're here or not, so you might as well get on board. That's the kind of mindset that I want you to have once you understand that creating success makes you a more empowered individual, regardless of your tangible resources. This is a mental resource. Point number 9. Today's topic, once again, we're on part 3 of our series. Why you may be in fear of success. Number 9, burnout. Burnout. That creating success may just make you tired from doing so much stuff to create and maintain that success. This is the person who's worried about how they will cross a bridge before they have even gotten to the bridge. Well, I don't want to become successful because then I got to do all this work, then I got to carry the load, then I'm going to have all these expectations, then people are going to want me to do this, and they want me to do that, and everybody's going to be coming at me, and you haven't even created the first level of success. You haven't even taken the first step to get success yet, but you're already worried about what's going to happen once you get there. All right, this is, again, putting a down payment on failure. And a lot of people tend to do this as a rationalization for their inaction in the moment. I want to make sure you don't fall victim to this, because a lot of people do this. It's like an automatic, I call these ANTS, ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. I wrote about this in my book, Work on Your Game, which you can get by going to workonyourgamebook.com. Telling yourself about all the negative things that could happen before you have even taken the first step to making anything happen, let alone a negative thing, let alone a positive thing. You haven't done anything. You're just telling yourself all the bad stuff that could happen. And before you know it, when you allow these ants to accumulate, because if you see one ant, there's usually a bunch of ants. What happens is by the time you allow them to accumulate, you have thought yourself out of doing anything. You haven't taken even one action step because you thought yourself out of how bad it may be in the future if you do this, then this, then this, then this. All right, they call this the chain reaction fallacy. Chain reaction fallacy is if I do this, then that means this is going to happen, then this will happen, then this will happen, and this will happen. And you take it all the way to the, in cognitive dissonance discussion, they call this the absurd absolute, like the furthest possible extent of this. It doesn't necessarily have to be absurd, but you get to the point that you basically psych yourself out of it, psych yourself out of doing anything because you're thinking about how bad it could end up. And again, nothing's even happened yet. So people saying that they don't want to create success because you don't want to burn yourself out by doing too much work or giving too much effort that you believe success will require. How about we just get the success first and then solve our problems after we get there? Handle your problems as they come and make sure that it's an actual problem